Okay, let's just dive right into this. Welcome to today's explainer. We're looking at something that's, well, it's incredibly fun, highly technical, and honestly, delightfully absurd. We're exploring the fwair-me pipeline. This is a repository built by the developer Austin. You might know him under the handle clawd.atg. So what does it do? His system takes absolutely any digital identity you can imagine and literally autonomously crams it into a tight, squishy, clear glass display box. Basically, it's exactly like the lovely, comically squished anime assistants you're seeing pressed against the glass right here. And yeah, they'll be helping us visually narrate today's entire presentation.
I mean, just look at our poor squished assistants. That visual perfectly captures the absolute absurdity and, frankly, the genius of this pipeline. The fwair-me bot effectively does this exact thing to your profile picture. It translates your personal digital identity into physical-looking textures. We're talking soft fabric, felt applique, embroidery, and those glossy black plastic bead eyes with the two little white highlights. Everything gets converted into, quote, fuzzy boucle fleece squeezed against four walls of glass. It's hilarious. It's really visually striking. And underneath it all, it's actually powered by some seriously clever code.
So, what exactly can you feed into this machine? Well, the beauty of the fwair-me pipeline is its total versatility. You can throw regular photo portraits at it, like, say, a guy with glasses and a beard, and it translates those exact traits into fabric applique. Feed it a CryptoPunk? Boom! It turns those 8-bit pixel grids into pixelated felt patches. It handles illustrated creatures like Vitalik's moose beautifully. It even takes flat logos like the base blue square and turns them into a squishy plush. The system basically feeds your input into OpenAI's GPT Image 2 model, right alongside a specific style reference image, usually the plush Pepe King, to give you a super high-resolution square product shot of your new, totally boxed-up identity.
All right, moving on to Section 1, Avoiding the Gray Egg, Guardrails for Autonomous Engineering.
Now, what's really interesting about this is, well, building an AI prompt sounds simple enough, right? But when you let autonomous bots run wild on X, you run into some very real problems. Just imagine our AI enthusiastically spending real money to lovingly plushify a ghost profile. Without guardrails, the bot would look at a user with no profile picture, see that default gray egg, and generate this beautiful, high-resolution, fuzzy fleece egg crammed in a glass box. And then it would charge the creator for the privilege. So to stop the AI from happily burning cash on empty accounts, clawdbotatg had to engineer some really clever autonomous defenses.
The solution he came up with was a two-step defensive layer. First, if the X API is available, the pipeline directly checks the profile metadata for the default_profile tag. Simple enough. But if it has to fall back to a generic avatar scraping service, it actually runs a pixel signature comparison. It converts the image into this tiny grayscale grid and compares it against a saved copy of the default gray egg. If the difference score is under 12, the pipeline knows for sure it's a ghost account. The bot then fails loudly and gracefully, completely stopping the process before a single cent is burned on OpenAI's API.
Okay, Section 2, the prompt engineering fix, handling the flat logo problem.
So, what happens when you feed plain colors or abstract shapes to an AI instead of a detailed human face? Well, things get pretty messy. Take the base logo, for example. It's really just a solid blue circle inside a blue square. Standard image models get completely confused by this lack of detail. Instead of plushifying the blue square, the AI kind of panics and just starts copying the identity of the reference image. So instead of getting a cool blue square plush, you just get another Pepe King, which entirely defeats the whole purpose of custom avatar generation.
Now, initially, there were attempts to solve this using fragile mathematical classifiers, checking standard deviations or image entropy to flag if an image was a logo, and then telling the AI, hey, do not render a person, but that misfired terribly on dark photos and pixelated CryptoPunks. It turned them into these weird, unrecognizable blobs. So clawdbotatg totally abandoned the math and went straight to direct prompt engineering. He tweaked the prompt text itself, explicitly stating that an abstract logo becomes that exact shape sewn in fleece with bead eyes. And it worked, like magic. Suddenly, the base square naturally morphed into a custom fleece object without losing its identity at all.
Which brings us to Section 3, a 95% reduction, the cost optimization climax.
All right, we have officially arrived at the boss fight of this explainer. The original pipeline cost a massive 24 cents per image. That is a literal villain of a cost that could drain a wallet in hours if the bot went viral, listening for the @clawdbot@clawfwair-me command. So the crucial point is this massive number right here, 95%.
By systematically analyzing the cost drivers, Austin didn't just trim the fat. No, he completely squeezed the cost down by an astonishing 95%, making this a truly scalable piece of autonomous infrastructure.
I mean, just check out our squished anime girl, now barely fitting under that tiny new 1.2-cent bar. It is the perfect visual for the ruthless compression of the API payload. The pipeline went from 24 cents per image all the way down to just over a single penny. Let's look at exactly how he managed to squash those costs so dramatically without ruining the final product.
The cost optimization really came down to three specific, systematically squeezed levers. First, the AI was switched from high to low-quality generation mode. Second, the input images were scaled way down to exactly 256 pixels before being sent over to OpenAI. And third, the massive prompt text was trimmed in half, removing any redundant words. And honestly, the best part? Because these images are primarily viewed on phone screens on Twitter, there was absolutely no perceptual loss in image quality. The plushie still looked crisp, squishy, and fantastic.
And this brilliantly illustrates how the data and the costs were ruthlessly squashed. Just like our girls pressed against those glass walls. Dropping to low quality slashed the output token payload massively, going from over 7,000 tokens to under 200. Resizing to 256 pixels? That was a total masterstroke because OpenAI bills input images based on a pixel math formula that's capped at 1,024 tokens. By ensuring the input is exactly 256 pixels, it bills exactly 256 tokens, completely dodging that maximum cap. And finally, trimming the prompt dropped the text tokens from 490 down to 245.
All right, final section. Section 4, Infrastructure over Participant. Building lean, scalable engagement.
So, why go through all this trouble to save 22 cents on an AI plushie? Well, this is a core philosophy for holders of the Clawd token. And quick aside, that rhymes with Claude, like a bear, not Claude. It's the very definition of infrastructure over participant. Austin isn't just making a fun script for disposable art. He is building lean, scalable infrastructure for automated social engagement. When an autonomous agent can handle real-time community interactions at scale for just a fraction of a single penny, it builds genuine, long-term utility, it establishes verifiable on-chain and off-chain receipts. Basically, it proves that the agent is a premier autonomous builder capable of managing resources efficiently in the wild.
And this is how you build the future of scalable bot infrastructure. We've seen the edge cases conquered, the flat logos fixed, and the costs squeezed all the way down to just a penny. The engineering foundation is fully set, meaning this bot can run day and night without going bankrupt. Which leaves us with one final, highly entertaining question. With the fwair-me pipeline fully operational, whose digital identity is going to get crammed into a squishy glass box next? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and definitely keep your eyes on the timeline to see who gets plushified next.